Hi, so in this video we are looking at what are the best settings to record your audio in Audacity. So if you want a quick answer, then I'll give it right away. So I would choose stereo, even though I know it's mono right now, 48 kilohertz or 44.1 kilohertz sample rate and 32-bit float format. But I'll go a bit more in depth as to why we're choosing these settings and when we want to tweak them a bit. So in terms of mono or stereo, if you were to use any other software except for Audacity, I would always choose mono for recording. However, the problem with mono in Audacity is that it doesn't allow you to record any higher than -6 decibels. So I'll start flicking my fingers, and as you can see, usually that would cause a distortion. It will start clipping, but Audacity doesn't allow you to go above -6 decibels. So I really don't like this limitation. You can obviously just apply the amplify effect and raise it a bit, but I prefer just recording in stereo, and then there's no limitations. You can go as high as you want, and then once I'm done, I'm just splitting my stereo track to mono. Just make sure you're using split stereo to mono, not split stereo track. And you get two separate mono tracks, and you can just delete the redundant one, and the one you're left with doesn't have the -6 decibels limitation. Once you are exporting, you are just going to export it in mono, and that will mean that you are going to hear the same sound in both of your earbuds or AirPads. So yeah, so that's why you may want to choose stereo in Audacity when recording. Now, as for the sample rate, you can choose either 48 kilohertz or 44.1 kilohertz. I choose 48 kilohertz. It doesn't really matter much, although make sure you are not converting 48 kilohertz sample rate to 44.1 kilohertz sample rates, as that may cause a reduction in terms of your audio quality, and don't do the vice versa, as that may distort your audio as well. The 44.1 kilohertz sample rate was used for burning into CDs, and 48 kilohertz was used for burning into DVDs. Since CDs are really no longer relevant in this day and age, you might as well just use 48 kilohertz. In terms of quality, you are not going to notice any difference. Really, it's just a preference for maybe if you were to send it to a sound engineer, they may ask you for 44.1 or 48 kilohertz, depending on what they are used to working with, but it really doesn't matter much. Also, going any higher won't matter either. Really, what sample rate does, you can divide it by 2, and you'll know the frequency response range. So if I'm using 48 kilohertz, I know that the frequency response range is up to 24 kilohertz, and really you can't hear any frequencies above 20 kilohertz anyway, so it doesn't matter which you choose. and just make sure not to convert it from one to another. Now with the bit float, you may as well choose 24-bit. The quality is going to be all the same, but what's nice with the bit float, and I'm emphasizing this float word here, is that I'll give you an example. Let's do it in mono, I suppose. So if I'm recording here in mono, and as you can see, I'm not clipping, and now maybe I wanted to apply amplify effect and I accidentally go over the board, and as you can see, I just introduced clipping. Now I want to fix that, and I'll use amplification tool again, and I just go back to what was, something similar to what it used to be. But the key here is it's no longer clipping. The data the audio that went above 0 decibels threshold is not lost. You still have it, and that's the key difference comparing it to just a simple 24-bit format. If I were to amplify it now and go above the clipping threshold, and then I want to go back, as you can see, it's truncated. It means that all of that data that went above 0 decibels, once I amplified it, is lost, and that's why it's just less of a hassle to work with 32-bit float. It probably will take more disk space, but it's worth it. It's not going. Audio doesn't take that much of space anyway, so just work with 32-bit float. It will be less of a hassle, and you won't need to be worrying about accidentally clipping your audio. So that's basically it. You want to record in stereo, and then switch it to mono once you're done recording, or just record in mono and now amplify it by 6 decibels. And you may want to use 44.1 kilohertz or 48 kilohertz sample rate, doesn't matter, just don't convert from one to another. And 32-bit float format will save you a lot of hassle, so you may want to choose it. But that's basically it.